Router tables are messy, awkward, they hog shop space, and there's nowhere for bit storage. And honestly, they're just a pain to use. I've been avoiding mine because it's not enjoyable. I don't even like looking at it. Well, today I'm fixing all that with a new design that tackles dust collection, the footprint, the total chaos underneath, and even adds a spot for those bits and accessories that usually get lost in a drawer. If your router table drives you nuts too, then this video is going to give you some great ideas. And this video is brought to us by the Woodworkers Guild of America. This video is going to be more about problem solving than making a router table, but it's also going to be about making a router table. Recently, I had to empty out the whole shop to level the floors, and as we've been moving the tools back in, I've been making new shop furniture with my brand new 2.0 design. I've got a video on making the shop furniture with the cheapest tools I could find and without a shop. It's a great video, go check that out. It is step-by-step on how to make this. Today, I am going to modify this to work in the corner, and I'm going to use my expensive tool. It feels like a brand new dream shop to me. I got a new floor in here, carpet, of course. I've got new shop furniture. I want to use my shop. So today I'm going to use the fancy tools. As I'm building new shop furniture, I'm getting crazy organized. You can see Post-it notes on all the drawers. We're going to do a shop tour here in a few weeks once I get all the shop furniture built and everything is insanely organized. Look forward to that. Here's some of the issues that I have to work around with this router table. Check this out. So this is my current router table situation. It is on this Craig router table stand, and this works great. The problem that I have is my router table has a motorized fence. We'll talk about why the fence is motorized at the end of the video. It's really freaking cool. But unlike most routers, the motor of this sticks way out the back. So this doesn't fit within, I can't put this along the wall, at least not this way. So what I've been doing over the past couple of years is I would just have it in sideways and then pull out when I need to. I think this is going to work best if it's in a corner. That way I don't have to pull it out every time. Let me show you the corner. The corner router table is going to go here where my computer is in the shop. And originally I was going to come up with a brand new design just for the corner, but I ran into a few issues here. But this is what I drew up. I started drawing up this guy right here, which was made just for this corner that would match up with the shop furniture right here, and then the shop furniture that's going to go right there. And I'd have this big space for the router table and that crazy motorized fence. Here's why that's not going to work. I taped off on the floor where this router table would be so I could visualize it. The problem with that is if I had a board that was 6, 7, 8 feet long, there wouldn't be enough room here. So I need to be able to pull this table out when I do need to route boards that long. With this current design, it would get trapped in there. Let me show you why. This is a top-down view of this guy up here. And so if I made it like that, this piece right here wouldn't pull out. It would get trapped between these two pieces of furniture and I would be screwed. So instead of making it like that, so it looks like a baseball home plate. So it still goes up into the corner, but I can pull it out like this. I'll figure out what to do with this space right here later, but first we need to make this. To make this, we're going to use the exact same Fusion file that we used a few weeks ago to make the other shop furniture, but we're going to modify it. So check this out. First thing I am going to do is hide all the drawers. And then we're going to go up into our parameters here. The amazing thing about Fusion is setting the variables for the design. So we're going to go in and change our bench height. The height of this bench is going to be higher than my other tools because I like the router up a little bit higher. That is one of the things that I'm changing in the shop. Some pieces of furniture need to go down lower, some need to go down higher. So this one is going to be 36 inches tall. Change that. Updates the model instantly. And then the depth of this is going to be 33. So it's going to be deeper. And then the width is going to be 36.5. And then all the other parameters are going to stay the same. The plywood thickness is 0.75. So let's hit okay. There is our updated model. And basically we're going to use this as the plans for this bench, except we're gonna make the top look like the baseball home plate diamond thingamajig. I don't sell my Fusion files publicly, but I do give my Fusion files away to my Patreon members, so Patreon members can download the file to their own computer, have forever, change all the parameters, and then it'll spit out the dimensions that they need. Like I mentioned, this video is more about problem solving than it is about making a router table, although it is going to be about making a router table, but we're going to run into some other issues that I haven't given much thought to. We're going to deal with those issues one at a time, like making the place for the router to drop into, like dust collection, what to do with the big space underneath. All right, that is a lot of talking. That is a lot of setup. Let's start cutting using the fancy tools. Here we go. You don't need fancy shop furniture, especially if your shop is new. And I've learned you really don't know what works long-term until you start making things. My first tool benches were just 2x4s sandwiched between cheap plywood, and they worked. Today, my shop isn't just a shop, it's an art studio. When I walk in, I want to feel like I'm stepping through a portal into another world. That feeling fuels my creativity even more so than being able to grab a tool quickly. Reward to the first jigsaw company to put a little air blower on there to blow the dust away so you can see your line. That little notch that we cut, that is for the toe kick right there. Up next are these 4 support pieces. Your situation is probably way different than mine. Maybe you want maximum speed and efficiency. Maybe you want to be able to grab a tool quickly. That's the beautiful thing about woodworking. It's completely personal. Do whatever works best for you. Take what inspires you from what I do and leave the rest. This is what makes this hobby so satisfying. Obviously, we're pocket holing everything together. In the previous video using the cheap tools, I used the off-brand pocket hole jig. Today I'm using the Kreg. To be honest with you, there's no difference in quality. None that I can tell. So if you want to save some money, spend it on Howad. In the previous video, I didn't get to use my fancy clamps. Today, there are no limits. This is the same with the previous video. No glue, which does add extra strength, but I don't want to use glue because I might need to modify or take this apart in the future. And typically when you're doing pocket holes, you want the pocket holes on the outside. That way the angle of the pocket hole screw is going towards the meat of the wood. I am going to do mine the wrong way. And like I said in the previous video, I've been doing it this way for years and it has never failed me. And then we're just using the 3 pocket holes on the long side. And then we're gonna have to tip this up for the bottom side. Always get the screw started first. That is the front edge of this top piece. The back end is going to come to a point. So I'm going to take my 45 here on one edge, bring in another straight edge here, and draw that line. They don't come to a point, but this little hole back here can be used for my dust collection hose. So again, with the track saw, I'm going to cut these guys off. That's a good sound. As you can see with the old router table, it got really messy in there, but we're gonna fix that with this box from Rockler. It's gonna help with our dust collection, but we're not to that yet. One problem at a time. We gotta figure out how to get the router into that table. Crotch shot. Now we need to cut out a hole for the router lift. This particular router lift came with a router template that I can double stick tape on here and then run a template bit around there to get that perfect shape. But first I need to cut this out with a jigsaw so that bit is not doing all of the work. If your particular router lift didn't come with a template, you can buy these online actually.
So now with some double-sided tape, we're just going to stick this down, and there we go. And because I have had bad experiences with double-sided tape and router templates, I'm also going to clamp this down. So now that that is all routed out, I have this kit. I think it's from Craig, but I don't really remember anymore because I threw away the packaging a long time ago. But these get installed into the corners, so then you can level your router inserts. Would you look at that? Oh, I don't even have that much adjustment to do. This is the bottom dust collection box, and it doesn't quite fit all the way around the levelers, but I think what I'll do is I'll just screw it in place like that, and then I'll just caulk around the outside to seal that off. I found some weather stripping in the house that is gonna work perfect for this. I think even with the weather stripping there, I still have to caulk it to get an airtight seal. It does need some intake air. There's a vent on this side to allow that intake. And so there's the box underneath. It's got a little door in the front so you can access your router, and just by chance, it's the perfect height for this 3-inch stretcher up there, but it's also gonna clear the dust collection. We'll hook that up later. Now we need to add a groove along the top for our jigs. So that is that. I'm going to install that last. I had to cut out a pocket for the electronics and various other things for the crazy fence that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Now we're going to talk about the sponsor of this video, but you'll definitely find it relevant and helpful. Right here, we're trying to problem solve the dust collection for this router table. But if you wanted to learn about dust collection for your entire shop, then the Woodworkers Guild of America has got you covered. They've got premium videos like shop vacuum versus dust collector and tips for central dust collection. Or if you're looking for a video that's project-based or tool-based, they have hundreds to choose from. They've got over 1,000 videos covering everything from router techniques to cabinet making to shop safety. So it's easy to go down a rabbit hole and pick up skills you didn't even know you needed. These are professional instructors and woodworkers, not just some Yahoo on YouTube figuring things out on the fly. It's also cool to see how other woodworkers solve problems differently. Sometimes it's the tiniest tip that saves you hours of work. And it's not just videos. There are articles and downloadable plans, and even a community where you can ask questions and share ideas with other woodworkers so you're not just learning on your own. They're always adding new videos, so there's constantly fresh stuff to keep you inspired and improving. If you want to check it out, the first 1,000 of you to click the link down in the description get a full year of premium membership for just $1.49. That's $1.49 for a full year for new members. Bonkers. You can also scan the QR code right here on screen, and it's going to take you right to the deal. So join the Woodworkers Guild of America and dive into those dust collection videos and keep building cool stuff. Okay, let me show you the problems that I'm having with my dust collection. I got the fence installed on there and the dust collection hooked up. We're gonna talk about the dust collection in a little bit because I think it can be better. The fence and the router lift that are the fancy parts, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But the router that is in there is just a regular standard Porter cable router that is then plugged into this switch here. So I can have the router on full blast, or if I go to variable, I can control the speed of the router. And I hot glued this onto the cabinet, but I've changed my mind about a few things. So I'm going to remove this and we're gonna work on getting better dust collection. I did add some carpet sliders to the bottom because I have carpet in my shop like a weirdo and it helps me move around. The carpet sliders are great for when I need to pull it out, but the thing is so heavy that this is not going to move when I'm routing stuff. And the top isn't attached to it yet. We still need to screw that down. And once we do that, it's gonna add a little bit more support. There's a little bit of wobble on there right now that I don't like, but I'm assuming that wobble is gonna go away once the rest of this is put together. The back of the dust collection box underneath here has a 4-inch port. I have this 4-inch port, I believe it's from Rockler, that has a 4-inch port going to the dust collector, and then it splits off into a 2-inch for the top dust collection, and that is how we're getting 2 points of dust collection. I am getting really good suction from underneath. I haven't even silicone off all the air gaps there. I am not getting good suction up top. So when I turn this on, that feels really good. This is pretty weak. And then putting it on here, I'm getting hardly any collection at all. I'm gonna be working on my dust collection throughout the shop, and I've been reading this book. There are a number of reasons why you would lose airflow in your dust collection system. One of the biggest is long runs and friction. I've got a very short run. We're only a couple feet away. There will be some friction because I'm using the hoses that are the, you know, they're not the smooth hoses. So I would benefit if I was using some of the like the galvanized metal ones with the smooth insides. I don't think that is my problem. I think my problem is, according to this book, is we are using a dust collection system that is made for 4-inch and we're reducing it down to 2-inch. That is not only hurting this, but it's just not getting the airflow here. I am thinking instead of doing that split, I'm learning just like everybody else, and I'm trying to be very scientific about it. The router is one of the messiest tools in the shop, and I really dislike using routers. 1, they're scary. 2, they're loud. And 3, they're insanely messy. And I'm trying to work on the insanely messy part here. I think if I can get mine to be less messy, then I will use it more. So I want to make sure that the changes that I'm making are an improvement. I got this on Amazon for like 30 bucks, and I would recommend something like this if you're trying to upgrade your dust collection to see if things are improving or getting worse. It doesn't do CFM, which is like a typical way of measuring dust collection air movement, but it did have the computer do some conversions to CFM. And that conversion depends on whether or not you have a 4-inch hose or a 2-inch hose. And just to keep it simple, I'm gonna keep everything to feet per minute. It does get a little complicated going from 4-inch to 2-inch because a 2-inch, you're going to get more velocity, but the 4-inch, you're going to get more total volume of movement. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. I'm going to keep everything to feet per minute and go on what I can physically feel, which is better. So directly off of the dust collector, we're getting about 7,700 feet per minute. With a 2-inch hose, with the ribbed hose, it drops down to 7,600. So we lose 100 there. Then at the split, it drops down to 6,700 feet per minute. Then I haven't sealed the box yet, which I need to do, but I am measuring right here at the tool about 2,500. So we went from 7,700 to 2,500. If I choke off the 2-inch hose, that bumps up to 3,000. So this 2-inch hose is definitely affecting the 4-inch hose. And directly off of the 2-inch hose, I was getting about 1,400 feet per minute, which is very sad. If I measure right off the small orange shop vac thing there, I think it's not technically a shop vac, but you understand. I am getting up to 3,000 feet per minute. So it's definitely going to be beneficial to have a separate dust collector up top. Just by removing that split, we went up to 2,900 feet per minute. So we gained 400 feet per minute just by removing that split. Now I need to add some silicone to all the gaps and see if we can improve that even more. So the silicone is drying. I can't test the airflow until that's done drying. So now we're going to attach the top. I am going to make a drawer for all of my router bits. I have 2 options. I could make a really, really shallow, I don't know, 5-inch drawer before we hit the below dust collection box, or I can make a larger U-shaped drawer, which is exactly what I'm going to do. The drawer that I'm making and the cover that I will be making are going to block access to the router box. And the truth is, I don't need to access the router box very often, and all I would really need to do is pull off the drawer and remove the front cover, which you haven't seen yet. I don't think it's going to be much of a pain, but if it turns out it's a nuisance, I can always change it up. In the other shop furniture video from a couple weeks ago, I go over the exact process of installing drawer slides. The drawer is installed. It wraps around that center dust box right there. I went ahead and 3D printed some bit holders. So I'm gonna have all my 1/4" bits on one side, all my 1/2" bits on the other side. I drew this up in Fusion 360 where I can say how many holes that I want, the size, the depth, the length, and change all that. You know how Fusion 360 works. I'm gonna go ahead and give these files to my Patreon members, but I'm gonna glue these in here. I even made there's a little lip on there, and you can use a little label maker like this to print out labels for certain bits, because some of them have an angle on there and you want to know what angle that is without trying to look up that tiny little freaking number on the shaft. I've been using the same handles throughout the shop, so I made a little template and put right there. All right, so I got some other things to make for the drawer that I'm going to do off camera. That's going to hold the wrenches, the inserts for the router table, as well as the collets. So I will show you that at the end of the video. Next, I'm just going to make a cover for this right here, and then we're going to talk about the crazy router table fence and lift. This is mostly just decorative and just hangs on, these screws sticking out here just to cover up that. Still got some good airflow in there. I wanted the buttons set back so my knees wouldn't hit them when I'm working. So that's gonna be the dust collection, and then this will be the router. Let's talk about the crazy router lift and fence. This is made by NextWave, and technically it is a CNC, but not like a CNC where you program something and then the machine cuts it out for you. You don't design anything on a computer. In fact, there are no computers involved at all. But instead, the apps are already built in. So no computer, no software, no designing, no drawing. So some of the apps built into the machine is biscuit slot, box joint, dado, dovetail half blind, dovetail sliding, dovetail through, fluting, keyhole, pocket hole, step and plunge, step and repeat, tongue and groove, lock miter, and more. I'm not gonna go through how this works. I've already got a video on that. This machine is incredible. But even though it can do all those crazy things, I love it mostly because it makes using the router table so much easier. I can quickly move the bit up and down to the desired height. I can quickly move the bit above the table for quick bit changes, and I can quickly set the fence to exactly where it needs to be and move it manually in extremely precise increments. So if I make a cut and I want to move the fence back 3/4 of an inch, I can just punch that in on the screen and it moves the fence back 3/4 of an inch. If I need to make a cut that's going to take multiple passes, I can do so, and I know that final pass will be the exact depth that I need it to be, all manually done. Here is the drawer. I have gone completely nuts with my Bambu Lab 3D printer lately. It has been a game changer for shop organization. I've got 1/4" bits on the left side, 1/2" bits on the right side. I got all the tools that I commonly need, the inserts there, the bushings, and then the collets all have a dedicated home now. This right here, this is the touch plate that you need for the fancy computerized router table. So you can set your 0 height for the table and then your 0 height for the fence. And you got to do that every time you change a bit so it knows where 0 is. But yeah, I didn't even know that I had this many bits. I have just gone absolutely nuts. I've been doing this throughout the shop, trying to be insanely organized. Securing the top and putting it all together, got rid of that wobble that I was concerned about earlier. I want to thank my top Patreons this month: Jonathan Ransom, Jim from Wiserbees, Ron from Gnomeworks, Jason Ramos, Tom, and Jeremy Johnstone. Thank you so much for your support. Patreon members get access to all the Fusion files that I use for this. That is going to wrap it up. We need to get back to some creative projects. I'm working on it. Hold tight. We'll see you next week. 5,400 feet per minute.